Hi there, and welcome to the third of a series of 5 webinars around the connected worker. It's a pleasure to see you all here at our webinar, and just to go back in time, when we talked about the webinar series, the five webinars with regard to the connected worker, we started off with the portfolio, so the complete portfolio of Aveva, and I think it was very, very clear that the portfolio is more than just Wonderware and SciTech technology. It is so much more. And so if you're interested, we can go back in time. You can go to our website and look at the first webinar we organized, which is all about the portfolio that Aveva is offering, the possibilities that you can see there. The second webinar was all about taking data from the edge to the enterprise. So the full series, from small located data to enterprise-wide data. So if you're interested, have a look. That is also available on our website. Today we will talk about assets and asset performance management, if you like. But we'll talk about that later. The next one is going to be about how can we turn data into information. Today, you as a plant user, as a plant owner, you as a facility manager, you are sitting on so much data. You're sitting on hundreds, thousands, millions of data points. And what we do in this webinar is we let you know how, by adding content to the data, we can create information. So, and the last one is all about MES. Hot topic. Today we're offering solutions with regard to model-driven MES, where we can clearly allow you to get a good insight in downtime, in OEE, in the tracking and tracing that is necessary within your environment. So that is the series of 5 with regard to the connected worker. So this connected worker, that's you. And whoever is watching, you are the connected worker. Anybody, whether you're an operator in a control room, whether you are the maintenance manager, whether you're the planner, the plant manager, anybody within the organization that can do its work better by getting access to necessary data, that is a connected worker. And that's where the 5 webinars are all about. Good. Having said that, let's step back for a minute. And during the first webinar, we talked about the Aveva portfolio, starting with Engineer. Within Engineer, you can see 3D design of plants, of lines. You can see P&IDs. You can see solutions. There are software solutions that will help you to manage a project, to deliver that in time and within budget. Then we have Operate, which was discussed last webinar when Mark and Peter talked to you about Edge to Enterprise. And today we're going to talk about Perform. And I'm not going to do that on all alone. Here with me in the studio, Mike and Omar. And I know our director is like trying to switch from left to right at the same time. And due to COVID and travel restrictions, we had to do a little trick, and Bengt out of Scandinavia is here as well. Oh, there we are. Hi, Bengt.
Yeah, hello. I'm the connected worker today.
Yeah. Well, that is a point, Bengt. The whole story here is about connection, and once you lose connection, you're out of control. And we're helping plant managers, we're helping plant owners, we're helping facility managers, we're helping whoever is responsible for data centers to get control of his work, of his data, and therefore is a connected worker. So I think the best step, what we're going to do now is have a look at what we do within the Aveva portfolio on Perform. And Bengt, can I ask you to introduce us to the Perform solutions that today we offer towards our customers, our partners, towards the market?
Yeah, I would be glad to. Please go ahead and switch to the next slide, please. As some of you recognize me, I have been in the Wonderware and Aveva organization for a couple of years. I've been working with all the products, with all the customers. And now I'm heading on to the asset performance management portfolio. It's very interesting, and it's a lot of money and R&D are put into that portfolio from Aveva's point of view. And the main focus is to get the cloud solutions up and running. And as of today, we are proud to present that all of the asset performance management portfolio are available for you, and it's coming in 4 different flavors that you see on the screen. But all depends on the data. As Eric mentioned, we harvest a lot of data day by day. Even if we're producing some other stuff, we're also producing data, loads of data. And that's the new gold. Oil was the gold in the past, but now it's data that's the gold. So please let me go through these 4 flavors. And in a second, my colleague Mike will take you through a deep dive on the 2 of them, and my friend Omar will take you through the other 2. So we begin with the automated asset performance management leg, or what you call it. That's the unsupervised part of it, and that's what comes out of the box immediately, and it's self-explaining how to do it. You get a pretty good look over your data, and then you can move forward to the condition-based part of it, and that's also the part where you are able to make some rules by yourself, and also have a look at your data in approach you want to see it. Then we have the guided analytics, which is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more advanced, and still we have the advanced part of it, which is the all sing and dance flavors in it. That's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more advanced. You need to be prepared when you try to go into that part of the portfolio. But that's where most of the people want to be, and most of the companies striving to get there. But you have to learn to crawl before you can walk, and before you can run. So that's why we have these 4 steps to get into the portfolio. Please take the next slide, please. This is the maintenance ladder, if you want to call it like that. Start with the reactive maintenance part of it, which is the run to failure, which is the firefighting mood. That's not the ideal way to handle things in maintenance. That's why most of the people have some kind of maintenance system helping them to get to the preventive part of it. But still, you have to go to get the most value of your data. You have to climb up the ladder as well. So please take the next slide, please. So here you have the ladder, and still we can see how it fits with the portfolio of our softwares. It's exactly the same that I told you before, but here you can say, you can see where it fits in on the maintenance ladder. You see the advanced analytics, you see what you can do with it, you see the guided analytics, and you see the condition-based rules that you have to set in some part of the implementation. And you also have the out-of-the-box solution in the below. So please go ahead to the next slide. Here we're back to see where we started, and also you can see that's the connected worker is something that you can't avoid to have the connected worker, because due to generation shifts, the new generations popping in that come with the new demands. They want to have their data in their hand. They want to have immediate access to data. They want to access the data from anything, from a phone, from an iPad, from a watch, you name it. Sooner or later, they will have HoloLenses or everything. Still, you have to connect that in some kind of way. So in the next couple of minutes, Marvelous Mike, will take us through how it works in the automated situation, in the condition situation, and also Omar will take us through the guided and also the advanced analytics part of it. So please take it away, Mike.
Before Mike does so, and our director is now completely confused because Mike was going to talk and the camera is focused on Mike, but one thing, and our director, Olaf, told me, don't forget to mention that people can ask questions. And Mike, sorry for that, but if there are questions, in the live version of this webinar, you can fire some of the questions. They will appear on my screen, and we will definitely try to do our best to answer them. So, Mike, having said that, up to you.
All right, thank you. And thanks, Bengt. And as you were saying, the new generation is moving towards having their industrial data in the palm of their hands. Actually, that's already available. What we're showing today, all of the predictive analytics, condition-based monitoring, is done within the Insight platform of Aveva. So actually, the connected worker can have it on his cell phone smart device, as you can see on the screenshot here. Before I go into the automated analytics themselves, first let's have a look at the main screen of Aveva Insight. So basically all of the data that you have readily available in your factory, in your plant, in your building, whichever you're monitoring, you can upload it to Insight. So not only does it go into predictive analytics, but it also goes into monitoring and visualizing other types of data. And as you can see, this is, as far as I know, the first industrial software solution I've ever seen that actually looks like something that we use continuously on a daily basis, like a search engine. And really it does behave like that, because in the search bar you can actually just look up your tags, you can look up your assets. Omar will be talking about an asset library a little bit further on. You can also tap into that just using this web interface. The rest of the dashboard, if you will, initially will be automatically displayed and built up for you. See, the director is waving at me. All right, I'll just continue on. That one. So initially it'll build its own dashboard. What we're looking here is the newsfeed on the right side. The newsfeed will feature a number of items. One of them will be automated analytics. So what does this do? If we scroll down a little bit, you can see that there's two mentions here. The first one, nothing really happening. It's just green lines, green dots. Everything is in check. And at the second one, you can see that the anomaly detection has detected something that is out of spec, out of the norm. You don't have to do anything to create these news feeds as a user. You just point the software to a certain set of data, and the software itself will look at the normal behavior, and it will notify you when something is out of the normal behavior, when something is out of check. It might be that the software sometimes gives you something that you don't really find interesting at that point in time. So you can train your newsfeed into showing you what you would like to see. So there's a thumbs up for interesting information, and there's a thumbs down for things that you don't find interesting at this time. And that kind of trains the newsfeed into showing you what you need to see. So really there's nothing more to it for the automated analytics. If you want to have a little bit more grip on the alerts that you're going to receive, we can have a look at condition-based rules. So you're going to go into your performance line. In this case, it's a bottling line. We have 5 variables defined, and there's 2 of these variables that you would like to have an alert on. So we're just going to run you through how to make one of those alerts. We have all of the 5 variables. I only need 2, so the ones that I don't need, I'll just delete from this screen. And I'm going to define that if I have a performance level that's less than 85%, there we go, I want to have an alert. And if my downtime exceeds 10%, there we go, I want to be notified as well. Taking you into the next screen, and then we're going to define some of the other actions that we want the software to take. So it's going to send me a notification If you're hooked into the other Aveva suite solutions, you can initiate a safety perm, and also you can generate a work order request for your EAM or CMMS system. There's some other actions that you can define that we're just going to skip for now. What we want to show you with this is that it's really just a matter of a few intuitive clicks. You're going to be familiar with the tags that you're working with because they're your tags, they're your data. And the only thing you need to do is simply define at which thresholds you would like to have a notification and work orders generated. And there we have it, already to define it, simple matter of clicks. So before I hand it over to Omar, very small recap, automated. No user involvement whatsoever, automatically generated newsfeed. If you want a little bit more control over it, just a few clicks away, and you have your condition-based rules.
So Omar, before you start, am I right then, Mike, that you collect the data, then the first solution you offered was about the system just doing it for you, and all you have to do is to say is it's good or it's bad information, and
Exactly.
so you learn the system. So hardly any work needed, any knowledge needed to get it working.
Yeah.
The next step is you need to know your process, you need to create your conditions, and based on those conditions then the activities will take place, emails, work order requests,
Exactly.
all that kind of stuff.
So you don't even need a lot of data to start out with.
Perfect, good.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for this great introduction, and Bengt as well. Now, Mike demonstrated how easy it is to get started with APM using automated analytics in the space of predictive analytics. Automated analytics is very strong, has a lot of value to bring because it's so easy to implement. Basically, you don't have to do anything, just provide the system with data. And the system will regulate itself basically and give you notifications. But in certain cases, it's important to push a predictive model and on certain assets, making sure that it uses specific variables, specific tags, and looks for a relationship between these multiple tags, these n dimensions, and looks for a correlation. So for that, Aveva developed guided analytics to have a simple, more developed step into the world of predictive analytics. And let me demonstrate that to you in the next few minutes. So guided analytics uses the newsfeed as well as automated analytics to alert you of anomalies. And you see that by that icon with the A in the newsfeed and the two arrows pointing in a different direction. The other icon is what Mike already demonstrated, is automated analytics. Now on this homepage we see a lot in the newsfeed. And well, let's just select one of the news items from guided analytics. In this case, we'll click on the asset Clearwell, and we will be redirected to the Clearwell asset page. Now, we see a lot of information on this page about that asset, but what we're interested in is guided analytics in particular. And so let's scroll through the different news items that guided analytics generated. But it's quite a bit. It's over 500 news items. So I can click on the asset news page, and then it opens up in a list form, and then I can filter down the information that I really want to analyze further. So in this case, okay, let's go for the last 7 days, and then Insight will present me the last 7 days with guided analytics news items. So let's find an interesting case. So let's move to this news item, for instance, where we have 3 variables that correspond to an anomaly score of 100%. And that means that this is a very rare abnormal situation, meaning that this will probably be a problem. So if I click on that, I move to a trend where I can see the 3 variables in the last 6 hours before the anomaly was detected, and then 2 hours beyond that. And below I see the anomaly score. And by actually seeing that yeah, the anomaly score is 100% and verifying the evolution of these three variables over time, I realized that this is indeed a problem that needs to be analyzed further, and I can drill down on a specific tag and analyze it in depth and look at what guided analytics is providing me with more information. So we'll not go into all the details during this webinar, but this gives you a good indication of what guided analytics can do. Now, how do we get there? Because it's very important to receive the information from guided analytics, but you need to configure something. And luckily, Aveva made sure that it is simple to configure guided analytics. So let's go to Clearwell again, that same asset, and let's build up a model and train that model based upon historical data that already exists in Insight. So in this case, we're on the asset information page. We click on Asset Actions, move to Add Guided Analytics Model, and then we are presented with a similar screen as what Mike presented earlier. So I can search for a couple of tags. So for instance, I'll look for a temperature around that asset. I'll add this to the list. I'll look for pH, for instance, for the acidity. And this gives you an indication that it's difficult to find as a human being a correlation between these type of variables. And let's go beyond that. Let's add a pressure. With these three variables, and in order for the model to work properly, we need at least 3 to 5 variables. We can go beyond that. We can give the model a name, and then we can start configuring the period of historical data that we want to use to train the model. So we can select 1 week, for instance, the last week, because we need at least 1 week of data, or we can customize that period. Then we can set a filter. That filter, in this case, what I want to do is, for instance, use the speed of the pump to actually say, yeah, if it's lower than 10 RPM, then I don't need to use the data at that given time, so that the training of the model will discard all that information when RPM is lower than 10 RPM. And then, of course, it will discard it as well in real time, of course. We also have an operational mode indicator that is quite useful when using batches, for instance, because then you can link a tag of batch information and give an indication about, for instance, the type of products that we're producing, and that guided analytics will make use of that information. So we see that in a couple of clicks, we can train this guided analytics model. After 30 minutes, about an hour or so, the model is trained, and then you're up and running and set to, look for anomalies, basically, using guided analytics. The goal of using these analytics features, like automated analytics, guided analytics, or either a step further, advanced analytics, is to detect anomalies before they actually lead to downtime. But Aveva thought a step further and provides a solution to actually do something about the anomalies and make sure that they don't lead to downtime. So let's move into the next step. And for that, Aveva developed the asset library. The asset type library consists of many different asset types and their different failure modes that Aveva built over a course of 20-odd years of consultancy around maintenance. And so we can make use of that information and actually prescribe actions to alleviate a certain problem and make sure that it doesn't lead to that horrendous downtime. So what does that mean? Let's move into a real demo again. So here I'm heading to Insight, but the Insight administration pane. And I click on the asset type library. And in this simple page, I have an overview of all the different asset types that are available to me through Insight, and I can select them and actually publish them into my Insight environment so that I can use these asset types and link them to my different assets. And I can find motors, pumps, heat exchangers, blowers, fans, you name it. So there are quite a bit of asset types available. And now let's move into the actual Aveva Insight environment so I can showcase you what it actually does. So here I have the example of compressor 1, which is an asset. I know it particularly well. The asset type is, of course, a compressor, and the compressor needs to run, of course, needs to turn, and what is acting upon that, that is an AC motor. So when clicking on asset info, it opens on your right hand side the asset information page, and there I can select the different asset types that are available to me through the asset type library. Now, of course, now we need to do something. Let's take the example of creating a condition-based rule, as Mike did earlier, but now by adding the prescriptive actions of what to do in case of a certain event, let's say, or a certain alert. So in this case, we have the same page that we saw before for creating a condition-based rule, and let's name that alert, let's say, hot loop, because my lubrication system is getting hot. I do realize that there is an impact when my oil is running hot from my compressor. It has an impact on the remaining of the system and mainly the bearings. So let's look into the direction of the bearing temperatures from not only the compressor, but also the motor, of course. And so let's select these different tags and add them to the condition-based rules. Okay, I selected them. I add them to the list. I will not go into further details about setting these thresholds because Mike already explained that very well earlier. And then we see below that list the possibility to unselect the prescriptive actions. And this is where it gets interesting. Here I can select the either motor or compressor asset types, and then there's different subcomponents of these asset types. So in this case, I do realize that when I have my bearing temperatures for my compressor that are too high, I have an impact on my potential temperature control valve. So I need to analyze that failure mode, and I add that to the list. And also my oil cooler, for instance. I also add that failure mode to the list so that these prescriptive actions can be reorganized in the proper order for my maintenance technicians to know what to do and when to do it. Now, in this case, I do realize that I also need to check the sensors, the temperature sensors. So I add them as a custom prescriptive action. So not only users can make use of the prescriptive actions from the library, they can also add their own prescriptive actions. Fantastic. Now let's drill a bit deeper into this potential situation. We can, for instance, analyze the bearings as well. So after doing the first steps of analyzing my systems, I want to do a more advanced analysis of my bearings by doing a vibration analysis. So I add that to the list of prescriptive actions, and that is a pretty good list of work to do when my technicians, my maintenance technicians, receive a notification by either email or by the action that I link to my maintenance software, my CMMS or EAM. And the rest of the system is basically the same approach as Mike explained earlier. So in a couple of clicks, we can make use of predefined prescriptive actions, helping maintenance experts roll out these maintenance strategies, prescriptive maintenance strategies, rapidly and easily. So, Bengt, we saw a lot of demos now, and I think it's time to make a small recap, a summary of what we just saw. So I give the word to you back, Bengt.
Yeah, thank you very much, Omar. I'm really impressed by the demonstration, and from Mike too. It's really nice to see the look and feel of everything. It seems very nice to work with. It seems very easy and self-explaining how to do it. Maybe I should do it someday. We'll see about that. But until then, we have to summarize this a little bit. As you remember, the first step to get into this is the automated analytics. It's all ready to go out of the box. You just set up your Aveva Insight account. You add the services you want to go with, and the automated analytics is the self-explaining. As Mike told you, you work with the thumbs up and thumbs down to learn the models, to know what you're looking for. And you have a lot of news feeds feeding the diagrams as well. And we can move forward to the next one, the condition-based, where you have a lot of more to do for yourself. You set up the rules. You can also add a lot of other things in this. You can see some trends. You can send some emails, some other actions. And you can also having your back of your mind. So it's just a couple of minutes per rule when you do the settings. So that's pretty easy to go as well. And the guided analytics, there you find a little bit more complicated. You have to invest a little bit more time on that one. But still, it's pretty easy to deal with, because a lot of information is still there. A lot of information is self-explaining how to do things, but still you have to think a little bit when you do things in the guided analytics. You also get some prescriptive actions from this solution. So this is a very good solution. But still, you have the all sing and dance solution, the advanced analytics, which will take another webinar to explain what you can do with that one. But that's everything you need to have a lot of assets to connect, a lot of information to get connect, and also there's very good safety in this part of the solution. It's from the what do you call it? It's from a it's an on-prem solution that's now in the cloud. So it's very good, and it's very nice to have. Still, we can take the next slide. Yeah, and here you can have an overview over the different solutions. And when you think about this, don't hesitate to contact us, because this is not an easy step to go if you're not involved in asset performance management before, because there's a lot of information that you have in your systems. As I said before, you produce a lot of data every day, and you have to beware of what data you need to have, and what data is important to look at, and what data is very crucial for you when you do your analytics. And there we can be at help for you. So please have a look at this. Don't hesitate to contact us. We have a lot of more information. This is just a brief overview over everything. So that's really about it from now. And maybe Eric, you can take it from here.
I definitely can, Bengt, and thank you for your explanation, clear explanation. We have received several questions in the Q&A box. Some easy ones and some difficult ones. So I might take the easy one and leave the difficult ones to the guys who really know all about APM, and that's Mike, Omar, and Bengt. So let's start with the first one I see here is how do you capture data from a machine, assuming that the machine is not intelligent? The way I translate it, and I think I'm translating it in the right way. There is no PLC, there is no automating device that collects data. I know for sure, and you guys please chip in, but I know for sure there are several systems integrators that have like prepared boxes, data connection boxes that they just put on place and add some sensors. We've had, to prove this concept, a very nice test during one of our conferences where we took a small racing car, a car used for racing, and we just added a little, how do you call it, Raspberry Pi device on top of that, and that published the data. So it grabbed the data from the racing car, and it publishes the data into the cloud, which was a very simple, straightforward way. So yes, of course, the question is fair. It is all about data. And if you cannot access the data, it's going to be tough. But there are so many simple ways to access that data. And I think that Mike, Omar, and Bengt can definitely help you in very simple, straightforward solutions. And next to that, our very valued systems integrator partners are definitely able to use a small captation box, if you like, to get that data and put it in the cloud. So I took this one, if that's okay for you.
Yeah, if I can add to that,
yes,
even if you have a machine that you can't put a Raspberry Pi or some other kind of hardware box on top of, if it's completely analog, there are mobile solutions that will help you in getting the data really from just an analog device into a database. It's not going to be real time, it's not going to be near real time, but you're going to have the data to your availability somewhere whenever it syncs.
So we need the data and a date stamp, I assume.
Yeah.
And then even afterwards we can...
You can just upload it.
Upload it and will be then placed in the correct timing and dating. Okay.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And yeah, the beauty of Insight is that we can make use of MQTT, for instance, and to make sure that we can quickly move into the IoT space or the IIoT space with machinery that is unequipped, let's say, with smart sensors or with analog sensors that don't have any connection box. So it's certainly possible to quickly get that up and running and make sure that the data is fed into Insight and you can get started with APM.
Yeah. There is already some response from the audience, and you can use solutions like Node-RED. I know for sure that one of our team has collected his solar panels using that solution into Insight, and then he is informed whenever his solar panels are not doing what they should be doing. So very simple, straightforward ways. There is another one, anonymous in this case, which simply says, how many data points do I need to start this exercise? How many data points are necessary to start this journey in the most simple or in the most complex way? Yeah, I'm looking at the two of you here in the studio, but I'm also looking at Bengt. I don't know.
Well, let's start with Mike.
I can take that one.
Okay.
Okay, Bengt. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's pretty easy because it depends on the demands that you have. Because still if you start with 10 data points, you get lousy outcome, and the rule is that the more data points you have, better solutions you will get. And that's pretty straightforward to understand that if you have one data point, you can see if it's on or off, and that's not good enough because you have to have at least 20 to 30 data points to get something you can rely on and that you get some use of. And to get the more advanced, the more your data points you need, of course.
Perfect. Thank you, Bengt, for that answer. I think it definitely does answer the question. If there are any other questions, just fire them away. If I see them, I will try to address them. At this moment, I think we've addressed the majority of the questions. Did we miss anything? Did we
Yeah, I
forget
have one
to share
question.
anything?
Hello, I have
Yeah,
one
go ahead,
question
Bengt.
from Scandinavia. We're wondering if we can add any sensor, any fabric, any type of PLCs or anything, and I can answer that one myself. And the answer is, of course, yes. We have a lot of publishers. We have a lot of connections, a lot of APIs. So nearly anything goes up in this system. It's not just Wonderware systems. It's the Well and maybe also BB and other systems as well. So don't get a showstopper on your systems. Everything, most of it, I'd say, goes up in these solutions.
I agree with you, Bengt, and indeed from CSV files to very complex DCS systems, controllers, PLCs, whatever you can think of, a computer, any device that is able to transmit data, we will unlock the data. That's where we come from. That's where we've found our market, and that's where we are the absolute market leader in grabbing that data and making it available in other systems. So having said that, there is one question that I've left, and that's not a fair question because I already know the answer because it's behind me. If I just do this for you, you could even read it. If you're interested, if you want to know more, give those 3 guys a call. They are the absolute specialists on APM. Any question, there are no stupid questions. Any question on how can I implement this on a very small basis and start working from there at limited cost, at limited time in investment. Because I think, Mike, Omar, Ben, how much time do you need to start logging the data and doing the first steps of analytics? What kind of time frame are we talking about?
It's a matter of days, actually.
Days.
Once that the data is in Insight, resides in Insight, automated analytics is immediately active, up and running. That's the beauty, and Mike had demonstrated that perfectly. Yep. Now, when you want to go beyond that, using condition-based maintenance, using more, let's say, advanced or more mature predictive analytics based on specific assets or multi-dimension correlations between variables, then you have the perfect evolution to guided analytics because it's within the same interface. It uses exactly the same, it provides the same user experience basically, and that's the beauty of Insight, is that you can progress very quickly towards a more mature and more modern APM approach.
I was about to finish, but I saw I forgot one question, and at least I thought I didn't mention it yet. Till what level of analytics can a production engineer design and implement this solution? I think that's a very fair and valid question, because
Absolutely.
Do you need this highly paid consultant to implement it? I cannot say and take years, because you already said it can be done in days. Yep. But
actually, I think if you're familiar with the asset, if you're familiar with the asset's behavior, you can program this yourself.
But programming, is it really programming?
It's like Omar showed us. You define the tags. Okay. So you define the tags which build a model. And even with the advanced analytics, which we didn't show today because we're probably, it needs a webinar of its own. But what that does is it gives you the insight to drill down further into the analytics part of actually what it's predicting. So it'll give you the bad actors and the fault diagnostics. But basically, if you know what you're talking about, if you know the asset, you can work with the system. Okay,
so having said that, somebody, a production engineer, assuming that he knows the production environment, but I think a production engineer should, then he should be able to go the whole way.
Indeed. The intention of what we showed today is that you don't necessarily need a data scientist to assist you in predictive analytics and condition-based maintenance. And even these prescriptive actions, also, once you know your assets, you don't need a data scientist or a true expert to actually build this entire list of actions. So it's an easy way to actually improve in APM.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the magic word here is that this is standard software. It's not created specifically for a customer. It's just there, and what we see in the market is that there are many players in this field, but they do tailor-made solutions. They do projects, and I just saw an interesting survey which showed that 80% of the companies who move into that area from that field, they never become a software supplier focusing on software. They will become a consultancy firm doing the tailor-made nitty-gritty stuff where any change will require that time and their effort. Yeah. So good. Having said that, if you're interested, have a look at wrong way. Have a look at the website where you can just run a free trial. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching this webinar. Give us a call. Give Mike, give Omar, give Bengt a call if you're interested, even to figure out whether it would work for you. And I'm 200% certain that it will work for you, and that with limited investment, with limited time, you will have something which will definitely make you more in control of your plant, more in control of your assets, and therefore creating higher efficiency. And I think that's what we're all aiming for. So thank you for watching. Please sign in for the next webinar. That's going to be absolutely an interesting one. Don't know whether it's going to be as interesting as ours, but it's going to be okay. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely interesting to see how you can transfer data into information. Brilliant presentations that Yuri and Mark will take care of. So please register, and thank you for watching, and hope to see you next webinar. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.